sounds alright. Let's just quickly do that. Sorry about that. I always forget that. I will get myself into gear one of these days. Right, so as the title suggests, this is Star Trek Online Tips and Tricks. This is the first episode. I have been asked to do this. Obviously just to help people out if people are new to the game. I will be paying attention to the camera in a minute. Again, something I should probably do beforehand. But yes, okay, right, fine. That's good. That's golden. That's golden. My streams always start like this. It's like a tradition or something. Okay, so yeah, tips and tricks, episode 1. You're new to Star Trek. You're thinking of playing it, or you may even just be interested, even though you're a long-term player. You may not understand the whole mechanics of it fully, or you may not have known these. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a start to it. So when you come into the game, you will be starting off in a Miranda class starship. For the tutorials, to which when you reach level 10, you'll be able to upgrade. So every 10 levels, you can upgrade to a new ship. Other than when you get to the end, unfortunately, I believe level 40 is the last time you can actually purchase a ship, unfortunately, because I think after that, you then have to get to level 60, or it might be after level 50, you have to get to level 60, no ship at all. Other than the one that you got given last. Bit of a bummer, yes, I know, but you can get through it. So, when you start the game, you will notice in the C-Store, if I take you onto there now, that you are going to have a whole lot of ships you can buy. So, my bit of advice, and I'm sure plenty of people will agree with, is do not buy these ships before you're level 60, unless you have a lot of money which you don't care about and you just want to shovel in. I'm not calling you a whale, but I would be saying welcome to the club. So of course, tier 1s, you want to buy a ship, fine, but you are going to get out of that tier range very quickly. So to be honest, yes, it's probably not worth it, but if you really do not that much, go ahead, throw it in there. I kind of did it, and to be honest, it's fine. Ish. Oh, that's only 750. Okay, so yeah, each tier you'll come with a new set of ships. Going down, you can see them all there. But I wouldn't be purchasing anything until you get right to the end. There are some good tier 5 ships if you do want to get a C-Store ship. They're not expensive. They're not that expensive, to be honest. I mean, obviously mine's in pounds because I am from Britain, hence the title on the YouTube channel is the British Gamer Guys. But as you can see on there, you have got those prices there. But you're going to be paying roughly about 20 quid for a ship, or dollars-wise, you'll be probably paying. It'll probably be a little bit of a higher stake cost, but I don't know how much it is in dollars. Again, British. I don't know. I haven't been there. I haven't checked an American store or anything. So on the tier 6 bundles, so you'll have the choice of whether you want start off whether your character wants to be, or you want your character to be engineering, science, or tactical. So your engineering, that's going to be your tanking sort of officer. So you're going to be looking for ships with the yellow border around it, for those who don't know what it is, and that's your engineering. So they are going to take the most hits. They're going to have the higher hull, and they're going to be able to take the most damage. You have your science, which they primarily deal with exotic damage and your shields. Your shields and your exotic damage are pretty good. Obviously, there are all of these places, but I'm just focusing on them at the moment. So your shields and exotic damage. Your exotic damage is things like radiation damage, damage over times, all bits like that, plasma damage, etc., etc. Drains, where you can drain the enemy's power, so it can be from their auxiliary power, the weapon power, shield power, whatever. Shields are normally higher on your science vessels, and they can normally take more of a hit than what your engineering shields can, and your tactical shields. But it's not saying you can 100% outdo somebody else when playing with somebody else. It's all about how you build a ship at the end of the day, which I will probably progress to later on at a further on point, but at the moment let's just start with the basics. So then you also have your tactical, which your tactical officers are more designed for your escorts, your raiders, stuff like that, because they're quick and they are the best builds, really. They are the ones that suck at the most damage. Haven't got the strongest hull, they haven't got the best shields, but they're more of a, from what I like to play, they're more of a hit and run. So do your damage and run away. There are certain ones, if I can find it on here, it's probably going to be right at the bottom because I have bought a lot of tier 6 ships. It's around here somewhere. If you see it, please shout out. You won't be able to shout out, trust me. I mean, you'll probably be sitting and going, hey Chris, what are you doing? It's right there. There it is. So this little bad boy for a tier 6 ship will actually camo, so if you do want to go towards a PvP form of gameplay, it's not a bad one to go for. But you can find the review on the channel as well, because I have already done a review on this ship. But yeah, so at the moment, don't bother with really buying ships. Just go through what you're given for free. It's a free to play game. You don't have to buy anything at all. You can really spam this game to get your higher amounts of money, so you can actually, what people actually pay for with their money on here, not the ships, so to speak, because they're not transferable, but stuff like your master keys, anything they win, including ships out of the lockboxes, can be sold at a higher price on the exchange. But you can get that form of money across. What I will also say is if you log on to Facebook and go onto the Star Trek Online, Xbox, Private Exchange, I think that's what it is. I might be missing the Xbox One, I might be missing the one out of the Xbox, I can't remember. If you're looking for shits, fantastic prices, you're going to get a lot of good deals there. That aside, let me show you what we have here. So you're going to start off basically with either the Miranda class, and when you will be able to upgrade once you've done the tutorial and perhaps a mission afterwards, you'll be getting a lot of people anyway, you may not want to, but a lot of people are getting the Constitution class, which obviously looks identical to this. The only difference is I have got a few little different cell bearings there. Obviously yours will normally come with the black inner instead, but it doesn't matter. So every 10 levels you will get a new ship. So I would personally be going for one which you're more suited as. When I went through my first run, I actually went with a science class, and I'm a tactical build, and I'm a tactical character, and I went with a science class. And I actually, hands down, it was difficult by the end, and I had no idea how to get past it. I had to resort to using tanking just to get through it, and at that point I still didn't really know what I was doing. So I would be picking ships that your character's more suited, because that's what you're going to get the most out of it. That's what you're going to get the most out of it. So let's bring it over here. So when you start, you're going to notice, or when you go through sector space, you are going to be slow. You are going to be slow in the slow. But do not worry, you will get faster. Each time you go into missions, space missions this is, if you go to ground missions you won't be getting these, unless it's a mission reward at the end. You will be getting better loot. So loot's what you're looking for really is read the abilities on them, because some of them are pretty decent, and so I say pretty decent, for that level they are pretty decent. I wouldn't be sitting there sort of to be on a tanky ship, probably putting shield emitters on there. I didn't do that, other than on my science vessel, which I did. I knew that much, but I didn't really know a huge amount, and to be honest, I still don't know everything. But I would probably stick to one energy type on your weapons. So if you have a look at the weapons, now this is the tier 6 version, so I've got a lot more weapons than what you're going to have. You're just going to have these two slots and this one. But obviously the higher ranks you go, the more ships you get, the more weapon slots you're going to start to unlock. So you're going to want to stick to one energy type. What I have found is actually quite effective, especially on the first two tiers, so getting up to level 20, it's actually having just energy weapons instead of any kinetic. But you need to do what's best for you. I went through those energies and I was able to get the shields, their shields down pretty quickly, and to actually still do damage, because phasers, yeah, they don't do as much damage as a kinetic weapon will, but to be honest, it's still... I've lost all sound in my headset. Why is that?
Hey. Again, shall we?
Okay, I seem to have sound. That's brilliant. I wasn't sure whether the mic was working or not. I will soon find out when I review the clip. So yeah, you'll have some device slots, which again, put the batteries in, that will help. Batteries will help. So if you're tactical, slip a weapon battery in there. If you're science, stick a shield, etc, etc, whatever you can get hold of. I mean, sometimes it even works just to have the engine ones, because sometimes you were going to need to run away, and you know, that's all fine. Shields, I've always had a bit of a thing for the resilient shields, actually, because I've actually liked them, and they've worked for me, and I've never had too much of a problem with them. But that's kind of what I prefer. So, weapons-wise, like I was saying, stick to one energy type. It doesn't really matter too much on what the beam looks like, as long as it's the same energy type. So you have things like your phaser, you have anti-proton, disruptor, plasma, polaron, tetrion. I'm sure I'm forgetting one. If not, then if I'm not, then I already have them all. But hey, so stick to one of them. If you decide you want to have phaser and some disruptors, or phaser and anti-proton, you are going to handicap yourself hugely when it comes to bonus damage. And here's the reason why. If you go over to your tactical console slots, you will notice you'll be able to put tactical consoles in there that will benefit beam damage, it will benefit energy type damage, you'll get cannon damage, you'll get, again, energy type, which will kind of carries on both of those, to be honest, the energy type ones. If you decide you want anti-proton and phasers on your build, you are going to end up handicapping yourself, because you are going to need to split those tactical console slots between both of them to help push them up. But if you only have one energy type, such as phaser, you can put the whole energy type as phaser, and it stacks, so you are going to be getting the best out of your ship until you can get better consoles. And that goes through all of it. Normally what I like to do when I play through, especially when I start a new character, is that I probably shouldn't, but this is what I do, and you can probably find better things. Don't really go and buy anything after you can find better things. You don't need to buy things. Every time you do a mission, you're going to get rewards, so just go through that way. And like I said, you can slot them in there. I don't ever put on a kinetic damage console, a torpedo damage console. I only ever use the energy damage because it's going to affect the shields quicker than what launching a torpedo at the shields is going to be. So, go for that. Your science consoles, you can use these to boost things like your auxiliary power, you can boost your critical chances, you can boost your shields, which isn't too bad at one on a lower level, but depending on what one you are, you may want to focus more trying to get more damage out of there. But yeah, it's all, you know, what works best for you. If you feel that you can't get through a certain mission, switch up your consoles. There may be something you're missing. Your engineering, obviously, only one that I have got resistance on here is the energy damage resistance here, but they normally look a little something like this one here, and they kind of vary on these ones. They do vary in sort of like colours. They are going to give you a resistance. So, say you're going against the Borg, who, you know, obviously their energy type. you use that to benefit. As you can see on this console here, it has the plasma damage resistance, it has tetron damage resistance, polaron, and anti-proton. So all of those weapon types it is going to be strong against. It's going to decrease the amount of damage taken by them, because that's what those consoles are designed to do. So with that in mind, obviously keep an eye on what damage they're using. If you're not sure, do a quick Google. Or, come and have a look. There are, I have plenty of other videos up. This is the first episode of the tips and tricks, just for when you're starting. But, it's going to work out for you. It will work out for you, and it may seem like a bit of a grind right at the beginning, but it's going to get better. Trust me, it's going to get absolutely better. So, you're going to start off, you're going to probably have a little bit less on your subsystems down below on the left hand side. You're going to see those batch numbers. So you're going to, at the top you have your weapons, you have your shields underneath, you have your engines, and you have your auxiliary right below. So depending on how you build your ship later on, they are actually going to be pretty important. If you're a tactical, you're going to want more really on your weapons. And that's what I found out. I even have consoles that will actually boost my critical hits for my weapons the more auxiliary I have, but I've actually found it actually is worse. So I have it all focused on weapons. Obviously the recharge time for your weapon, or the costing out of the charge of the numbers that you see down there, as you can see I've got 125 out of 100. It actually goes better than that, but that is the maximum number it will show. So it will stack up to 125. Anything you have left over will go past there. So if you have that system shut offline, it's going to deduct it from that first, and then start to drain it from the whole 125. So in theory, it still kind of stacks every single bit of it. So a lot of tips and tricks, something I actually didn't know when I first started, is that if you hold down your left stick and point into the direction, if you have a look where you can see my on the left side of the screen, you'll see that it's starting to flash because I've pushed it, and I'm actually starting to turn. So when you push that down and you turn that, you actually divert power to that shield facing, and it does come in very handy. And to be honest, I had no idea about this when I went through my playthrough. I went the whole time without knowing what that did, and I was completely clueless. And it wasn't until I was already level 60 and everything that I was like, oh, okay, that's what happens. That's fantastic. So yeah, bear that in mind. If you have a shield facing that's going down, because they're on that side, push it to the left, or push it to the right, whatever side they're on, and click it in and push to that direction, and your shields will then start to recuperate on that side, but it will take it from the other facings. So if you're against multiple enemies, and say you have, I don't know, a warship on your left, and you have a freighter on your right, you're going to want to divert more power really to what's going to be putting out the most damage. What you feel is going to put out the most damage. What's more the threat? You could have two ships on one side, one ship on the other, so you divert power to the left hand side because you've got two on that facing rather than just the one. But that's a really good tip actually, and I don't actually know how many people are actually aware of it when they first start. So that's definitely one to be going with. Actually what I'm going to do is, whilst I'm going through things as well, I'm actually going to take us out and try and find something to do, because sitting in our space dock isn't the most entertaining really, is it? So let's try and find a deep space encounter. Now I will say I have terrible luck with these, and there's none here. Smashing. Okay, let's see. That one will do. Gonna swap an instance. Obviously, if you push up the map button and you press Y, that will bring up an instance. You can change instance, so you can change what lobby you're in. So pressing Y does that. Obviously, your triggers are there to zoom. So again, if you're new, that's what that does. So you have a better view on it. Now, when you first start, you're going to just be flying through here at normal warp speed. You won't be doing this right here. That's only obtainable past level 60. You may get it, or it's past level 50. It's been a long time since I needed to remember that, to be honest. But again, it's going to seem like you're really slow through space, but it will get a lot better. The better engines you unlock, the faster you're going to go. Simple. Okay, so let's pop us in here, because it's more entertaining when I'm actually doing something and not boring you absolutely stiff because I'm them just sitting there doing nothing. Okay, so what I love about using this little ship is that people generally think it's only a tier 1, it's only a tier 1, tier 2, depending on the variation you have. But it's great, because a lot of people actually don't know this ship's actually on the game yet. Well, the Xbox version anyway. But yeah, so when you're in battle, you're going to want to put as many of these abilities as you see, as you can fit in there, on there. What I would suggest, if you've got multiple tacticals, is I would say perhaps use, if you haven't got a torpedo running, perhaps use your beam fire at wheels and your beam overload. Just because you fire at wheel, you'll be able to hit multiple targets. Overload, you will be able to do more damage, and it really does punch in there, especially on a low level one. As you can see, but that was only a little frigate, so that's not really anything impressive, let's face it. But yeah, so always keep an eye on your stats. If I can get them to really take my shields down, low, it would have been better if this was more, because it would have been great. Because in that way I could have shown you with my shields. In fact, I could have just flown into a walk or breach, actually, that would have benefited. But yeah, so what else you can also do, and again, I wasn't 100% sure on this when I first started, is if you pull up your stats, if you hover over one of them and click the left stick in, you will actually change which one you can quick use. I always have normally my basic maneuvers on there, because I thought if I ever need them, it's there. You know, I can quickly stim it. But I can activate my shields, there we go. If you caught that just in time, obviously if you're watching this on YouTube as well, you can actually see that when I click the stick in, it diverted power from other places and shunted the power to that part of the shield facing. But what I will also say is, whilst you're at a lower level, search for these deep space encounters, because they are going to level you up hugely. And to be honest, I would keep doing them until you get to a high enough level, because that's what's going to make you rank up the quickest. Let's go push forward on the stick. Vote the power. So, doing these most, you can do PvEs, you can't do very many. I believe you can only do the fleet ones, and you may even have to be in a fleet for them. But doing these, instead of the missions, the story out missions, doing them are just going to rank you up a lot faster. Okay, shoot that torpedo, it's fine. Watch out for auto aim, because this thing, this whole targeting system loves to fire on torpedoes. I cannot tell you how many times I have done a certain PvE, and anybody who's an older member or stuff online will know this PvE, all disconnected, where you have indestructible torpedoes, and for the life of you, this thing loves to target those torpedoes. The way to destroy them is by ramming them. Smashing. So as you can see, it keeps coming with, you use battery, energy amplifier. So they are actually the batteries that I have equipped. And you can set them to auto target, which is holding down, highlight, right bumper. And then you can cycle through the options depending on what you want it to do. That thing out. So that's another little handy trick. But what I will also say, and this happens to everybody, especially if you're new, when you get a new ship, if you press start and go into cruise, if you press start, go down to skills, press crew stations, remember to put these guys in, because if you get a new ship, they don't automatically fill those spaces, so you will need to go and put them in by yourself. And that will save you a lot of highlight data going, where's my crew gone? Because I can tell you now that has probably happened to every single pilot. And it's just what's going to happen. Snowballs! But yeah, it's just, you know, at the beginning it can seem to really drag, but persevere a bit, it gets so much better later on. So yeah, doing these will give you the XP. You can see some experience there from level 30. I just got 3,476, which not a huge amount for me now, but back then it really is. It is quite a big deal. So just pop them in there and go for that. So I've gone through a few of the using only one type of energy types, but what I also need to say is you get two types of energy weapons. You get your beams, you get your cannons, flash turrets. Do not mix them. Again, you're handicapping yourself. Stick to one, either beams or cannons. If you're going to go cannons, you really want to go for an escort. If you're going with beams, beams are pretty much good on most things, to be honest. But don't mix cannons and beams. If it's the only thing you have, you know, some ships you can get will automatically come with cannons and beams. But if it's the only thing you have, there's not really much you can do about it until later on. But try to avoid doing it, because again, you're going to handicap yourself, because they have two different types of amplifiers there. So stick with either beams or cannons. If you're using a science or an engineering vessel, beams. Don't even bother with cannons, to be honest. If you're using an escort, then cannons are fantastic. They're brilliant because your escorts are quick and nimble and they flit about like a little fairy on steroids. So that'll help you. That really will help. It's going to look great having the different types of energy types, but again, try and avoid it. So you're going to have stuff when you get to certain levels, such as when you get to level 60, you'll be able to do all your reputation bits, which are going to benefit you when you play, because by doing these reputations and these PvEs, you are going to be unlocking better equipment for yourself. So what I have on my ship at the moment is I actually have the sub-transport engines on the ship, which is from a Borg reputation, which is, if you're Borg PvE, you'll get the red mark points. You just go onto reputation and you slip them in there, you do the daily exercises and you'll get points for it. You'll get some XP as well. But, you know, you can get a lot better equipment than just standard stuff. When you rank up through a fleet, you can get... just finish that off. Up through your, and you'll be able to buy things from their stores. Oh, server's not responding, kick out. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I'm going to say it now. I hope everyone enjoyed this stream, and I will probably be back on the next one if this decides it actually wants to stop. So I'm actually going to go and reset the game because it's going to kick me out anyway. So thanks for joining for this part. I hope you join me for the second part as well, where I will continue what I was about to go on about. So, yeah, thanks.